Welcome back in from the bleachers here on the Fan Sports Network. Kaden Formaster, Nathan Nelson here, and on the phone today, we've got your boy Q. You guys know him from the Locked On Raiders podcast, ESPN Radio. Q, you're everywhere nowadays, man. Congrats on all the gigs you've got going on.
Yeah, man, I got a lot. It's a busy time. It makes every day busy, but it's fantastic, man. I would have it no other way. So definitely appreciate you and glad to be on with you guys.
You know, I was wondering to myself when I was setting up this interview, I was like, I want to know how many hours a day Q spends with a microphone in front of his face, because it's got to be a lot.
Oh, man, it is. I mean, you know, you do 2 3-hour shows. That's 6 right there. You do the podcast. That's another 7. You know, well, it's another 1, so it makes it 7. You spend the time prepping it as well. So most of the time, I probably spend more time with a mic in front of my face than I do without it. So there's that.
Well, hey, I got to give you a shout out, man. So we cover here in Southern Utah. We cover Utah Tech University athletics, and they were playing against your son. He's out in Portland State, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, Portland State, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so they played against him earlier this season. I was like, that's a name I'm familiar with right there. So that's pretty cool, man. Well,
yeah, thanks. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, hey, let's talk about the Raiders here, because the Las Vegas Raiders, man, had quite an interesting draft. I want to start right there. They draft probably the biggest running back prospect that we've seen in years in Ashton Jeanty. Tell me about the hype around him right now in Raider Nation.
Oh, it's incredible, man. It's funny because the lead up to the draft, there was a lot of conversations. Do they or don't they? You know, do they go grab him or not? And are they going to be able to maximize his talent? Is he going to have the return of a Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry, a Josh Jacobs? Or is the Raiders team not really ready to maximize him? And then as it got closer to the actual start of the draft, it's like, wait, hold on. Is he even going to be there at number 6 for the Raiders to draft? It's all of a sudden felt like the Jacksonville Jaguars were in play for him at number 5. And so then I think reality kicked in where everyone's like, oh, wait, hold on. Got to get that guy. If he's available, you got to get that guy. And so the Raiders, got him. He's excited to be a member of the Raider Nation. Raider Nation's excited about him. He's going to bring an immediate, credibility as far as being able to hit a home run, be able to be that workhorse from the backfield, that guy that they haven't had since Josh Jacobs left. And really, he has an opportunity to be even better than Josh Jacobs, and that's what the expectations are with Raider Nation. They just think that this guy has a chance to be one of the all-time great Raider running backs. And, it's funny, there was a picture that the Raiders took with Ashton Jeanty when he got to the facility, and it was Marcus Allen, Jim Plunkett, and I forget who else that they had with them, but it was multiple MVPs. Let's just put it like that. And so they were excited about him and said, hey, you never know, man. The Raiders have won 3 championships. Maybe they can win a 4th, and you could be the MVP. So everyone's fired up and excited about Ashton Jeanty with the Raiders.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Even me, I'm not really a Raiders fan, but I have been clamoring for the Raiders to take Ashton Jeanty, especially at that number 6 spot. I was a big fan of that because that offense, admittedly, does need a lot of work, and I think Jeanty is going to give just a great boost to that offense. So I'm really excited to see him. And I have been wondering, Q, how is Jeanty going to be implemented into this offense and stuff to start his rookie year? Is he going to start immediately? Is it going to be, kind of a slower snap count? Or what's it going to be? Or is he just going to be off to the races and like a offensive rookie of the year favorite, like no holdbacks whatsoever? So how is he going to be implemented into this offense to start his career?
Yeah, full throttle, man. They're just going to throw him in there and say, go do what you do, right? I mean, the good thing about it is he's a running back, and that's probably the one position that can transition into the NFL better than others, right? I mean, because he knows what he's got to do. He's got to get the rock and he's got to run, right? I mean, obviously, he's got to be able to follow his blockers, but clearly he was able to do that, going for 2,600 yards in Boise State. So, he's going to be relied on heavily. And it's funny because even in his introductory press conference, he said, I can catch the ball in the backfield. I don't know how much they want me to do that, and Pete Carroll, he looked over Pete Carroll. He said, oh, no, you're involved in that too. So he's going to be involved in everything, every aspect of the team. He's going to be involved in, and he's going to have he's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting and helping out Geno Smith. Obviously, they've got Brock Bowers from a year ago, Jacoby Myers. Now, all of a sudden, that makes life a little bit easier for those guys when you have a running back like Ashton Jeanty that can suck up all the defenders and then all of a sudden play action pass will make it that much more dangerous. So, he's going to be heavily involved offensively.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that duo. I know a lot of people don't talk about a running back tight end duo, but I can't wait to see that, like you said, in the play action. Jeanty getting some pass catches, all that good stuff. I'm really excited to see that duo down in Las Vegas.
It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun.
I got a question for you, Q. Is the Raiders they've picked up a ton of guys in this draft, right? And NFL.com, they had their draft grade at an A, which, not everybody gets an A. Where would you give them? Like, what kind of a grade would you be giving the Raiders from this draft?
I think they did really well. I mean, I'll give them a solid B. It's hard to give out an A without being able to see what these players look like. I mean, it really is. Obviously, everyone feels good about their draft when they're done. But from all the years that I've covered the Raiders, all the years that I've been a Raider fan, I know that there hasn't been too many times where I came away from the draft thinking, wow, they did a hell of a job. This time I came away from the draft thinking, wow, they did a hell of a job, right? They went into the draft with only 9 players or 9 options, selections, and then they made it happen so they have 11 selections. They brought away 11 players. They've only done that twice since 2007. I think 2007 was the first year, and then this past year, 2025, where they've actually had 11 draft picks that they've made. So that was good, and they filled a lot of holes. They got a lot of players that I think are impactful, and the way I've been describing this team, and I even did this on my radio show, was how would you describe in one word what this Raiders, what the draft class was? And I described them as tough. All the players have a sense of toughness to them, and I think that that's something that the Raiders have lacked for a while. I think Pete Carroll wants his team to be a very tough team. He obviously wants to be a very competitive team, but these guys all have a sense of toughness to them, and I think that was the big deal that the Raiders, getting Genty. Obviously, he's a bowling ball like with knives and involved in him. I mean, he's that guy. But even their second-round pick, Jack Bech, from the wide receiver from TCU, everything he's been through in his life and all the adversity he's dealt with, he's had to overcome that. And also just the way his style of play, again, just real toughness he brings to the table. I think this team is bringing on a different identity. So I gave him a solid B with the opportunity to move up to a higher grade based off what we see in the first year.
I got another question for you, and I like that you bring up Jack Bech because it kind of involves, he kind of involves my question I got for you. Other than Ashton Genty, who was kind of like the main guy coming out of this draft for Las Vegas, what other rookie are you excited to see from this Raiders draft class going into this season?
Darian Porter, the third-round pick out of Iowa State, the cornerback. He's long. He's a lengthy guy. He fits exactly the Pete Carroll, the formula that he had in Seattle when he was putting together the Legion of Boom. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 6'4". He's got that kind of range. Yeah, and he's from Iowa State. And anyone that will listen to me, I always tell them, Iowa State football players I always want on my team. They're always coached correctly. Matt Campbell does a great job as Iowa State's head football coach. And people say, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, ask Brock Purdy. Oh, wait, hold on. You don't want to ask him? That's fine. Ask David Montgomery. Oh, you don't want to ask him? Okay, cool. Ask Breece Hall, right? I mean, I could just go down the list of all these players that have made it in the NFL from Iowa State. Matt Campbell does a great job of coaching these dudes up and preparing for the league. There's a reason why he's always talked about when it comes to head coaching cycles there. Oh, there's a guy at Iowa State that, you might want to try to get him into the NFL. He is a great coach. So I love the fact that Darian Porter has only been playing the position for a few years. He's a converted wide receiver, so he knows what it means to get his hands on the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He's physical. He plays zone. He plays man. He's long, lengthy. He's very Richard Sherman-like as far as body type. I just think that the Raiders have a really good opportunity, especially since they needed a corner. They needed multiple corners, and I think getting him is a big deal. So, Darian Porter is one of my favorite ones, the third-round pick out of Iowa State.
I want to talk to you, Q, about the addition of Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. We'll go with that kind of duo there, both coming over from Seattle. There's got to be some sort of a Seattle mentality that's going to start to ease its way into Las Vegas. But what do both of those guys bring? I mean, Geno gets here and they immediately give him a little bit of an extension. So they're planning on him being the QB at least for this season. And maybe longer. Of course, I feel like it's kind of a time will tell situation. But do you feel like the organization is set and like, you know what, we got our QB for this year. I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I do. And it's funny, I didn't think that leading into the draft. I really didn't. I thought that Geno Smith was there. He's familiar with Pete Carroll, but we know that he's not Mr. Long-term. We just know that he's going to be a guy that, can hold it down right away. I thought the Raiders were going to spend an early draft pick on a quarterback, and they didn't. So it's funny because GM John Spytek, I've asked multiple times since he's taken over the job, hey, what's the plan at the quarterback position? Hey, now that Geno got a contract extension, how do you attack the draft and the quarterback position. And he keeps saying, we plan on Geno being our quarterback for years. We feel good about him as the quarterback moving forward. We plan on him being the quarterback right now and, for some years to come. What that means is that he was being 100% honest when he was saying that. And even though maybe I didn't want to believe him, I wanted to keep, pressing it and asking, what they planned on doing and how they would approach it. And they had a lot of different quarterbacks come in for visits before the draft actually took place. And in fact, they didn't get a quarterback till late in the draft in Cam Miller, right, in round 6. And he comes from North Dakota State. And so, he's not going to be pressed into action immediately. So I think they truthfully feel good about Geno Smith and what he could bring to the table. He's 35 years old in years, but not really in wear and tear on his body because he hasn't been a starter in the league the whole time he's been there.
Yeah, that's understandable for sure. Tell me about the offensive line. We talked about Ashton Genty, but a big thing with the running game is making sure that offensive line is going to give you space to run. Do you feel like this line is built to do that, especially considering that they did bring in some offensive line help in the third round?
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing is, they've been telling us that they're very comfortable and happy with what the offensive line did last year. And I just kept thinking, like, I don't know if that's really where that they should be happy with that. I think that they needed to address more. But what they did is getting those third round picks back to back in the offensive line, getting a guy on the interior and also a tackle. They provided more depth. They provided more competition, right? They have DJ Glaze from a year ago. They have Jackson Powers Johnson from a year ago. JPJ goes to the center. DJ Glaze is at the right tackle spot right now. Colton Miller, I'm sure they'll work something out with him and his contract situation. But you also signed Alex Kappa, a guy that you're familiar with. You also brought back Jordan Meredith, a guy that you're comfortable with. You have Dylan Parham. So now all of a sudden, what you have and you've created is competition because now you've got guys behind them that are going to push them in training camp. And again, going back to Pete Carroll's theme, it's all about competition. So now you have more options where it's not you have to play these guys because they're the only guys you have. Now you have options there. And so whoever literally goes out there and wins the job is going to be the one to go out there and start. So I think that the Raiders have put themselves in a really good position, understanding that they need some more depth, but at the same time, realizing whoever earns that starting job can earn it, and then you have some quality guys behind them. I like the addition to Caleb Rogers, the guard out of Tech, and then Charles Grant, the tackle out of William & Mary. I think both those guys, even if they don't have to play right away, are going to be significant key contributors for the Raiders for some years to come.
Yeah, that's good to hear, especially with Geno Smith throwing the ball. I want to talk about Geno Smith. Just one quick question about him. And I want to get your thoughts and your personal expectations of how you think Geno Smith will perform going into this year, because now he's got Genty, he's got Brock Bowers going into his second year, developing nicely, Jacoby Myers as well, kind of a revamped offensive line a little bit. So what do you personally expect to see from Geno Smith this season?
I think that you're going to see what you saw really in Seattle, and a lot of that is going to be the good timing passing, having guys to get the rock to. He can stretch the field. Their fourth-round pick, Dante Thornton out of Tennessee, is a 6'5" guy that runs a 4.3, so he's going to be able to stretch the field. I think you're going to see him take some shots. I think you're going to see Genty really do a lot of the heavy lifting, but Geno's going to benefit from that play action that we talked about before. Brock Bowers, we saw what he did last year was terrible quarterback play, and he still went over 1,000 yards. So I just think that Geno's in the best situation that he's ever been in, or at least in a long time. I mean, to have all these different weapons around him. And, oh, by the way, the key cog that we're not really talking about is Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator,
yes.
Right? How does Chip Kelly open up things for Geno Smith? If we go back, and I know it's many moons, from when Geno was in college at West Virginia, but Geno was lighting it up, man. I mean, he was lighting it up at West Virginia, right? He threw the ball all over the yard. They were putting up 63 points, 70 points, 50 points, 45 points. They were doing that routinely. And I'm not saying that they're going to go do that, but he can sling the ball around the yard if he needs to. And on top of that, having a really good run game, if you establish the run, everything else becomes a lot easier. So I think Geno's going to have a really good year. If you kind of look back at the different years that he's had and the successes that he's had, I mean, he's been a guy that can get it done, right? I mean, he's not – I think he was, fourth last year as far as passing goes? I mean, he threw for over 4,000 yards last year. So I think that he's in line to have another big year, and this time in Las Vegas with some really good weapons in Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers, as you mentioned. And, of course, again, Thornton, man, that's a guy I wouldn't sleep on. If you're 6'5" and you run a 4.3, you're getting the ball.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And also, real quick, Pete Carroll is back with Geno Smith as well, where he was his head coach for Geno Smith in his first year in Seattle. So hopefully that also unlocks some stuff for Geno Smith as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he knows what to expect from Geno. Geno's comfortable. He wanted to play for Pete Carroll. I mean, he obviously wanted the contract extension. Seattle might not have been as willing to give the money that the Raiders gave to him, but the money that the Raiders gave to him wasn't like it was some extreme number. So, I mean, it was only $66 million guaranteed. So I think that you're going to see the best version of Geno because Geno's excited to play with Pete Carroll.
Can't wait.
So let's talk about the P word that no one ever wants to talk about, the playoffs, right? Do you feel like they're starting to build a team that could end up in the playoffs again? I mean, it's been a little bit, right? It honestly wasn't all that long ago that the Raiders were there, but they've had a bit of a rebuild since then, just a different looking roster. Are they on track to get back to it, whether it's this year or maybe in just a couple years?
Yeah, I think that this year the expectation should be about 8 wins, right? Similar to what you saw Sean Payton do in Denver his first year. Get about 8 wins. That will double the win total that they had it from a year ago. If you get back on the right track with 8 wins, then you know you're headed in the right trajectory. And then you can all of a sudden step your game up and say, okay, this is the expectations. Now, Jim Harbaugh got the Chargers to the playoffs in year one, got double-digit wins, but, I mean, something's got to give. So I think that you'll see the Raiders look a lot more competitive. I think they'll be a really good team as far as they're not going to ever get blown out. I'm expecting about 8 wins in year one, and then year 2 is when I expect them to take that step and make it to the playoffs. Now, Raider Nation will tell you that they're going to be a playoff team this year, and I'm good with that. Like, if they are, fantastic. I feel like that they're ahead of the curve. But, it's just I feel like it's too much to ask for. Well, they're going to be a playoff team year one. It seems like they got a lot of heavy lifting that they've got to do to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is your boy Q on the line with us. Q, we appreciate you joining us on the show today, talking some Raider football, talking about the draft. And honestly, Raider Nation, you guys picked up a good one. I'm super excited to see Ashton Jeanty and honestly the rest of the draft picks as well. Q, appreciate you. And as always, we're going to be sending people your way. Where can people find you?
Yeah, at your boy Q254 on Twitter is the easiest way to find me. You'll see all the shows that I do, all the different radio shows, podcasts. I got everything right there. So definitely appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate the love.
Absolutely. All right, stepping aside, taking a break. More on the other side here on the Fan Sports Network in front of the bleachers.